my cup of crazy, the craziness continues. So yesterday, as I was talking to my husband as he left for work, we were out on the back porch and Dee was playing with a ribbon. She decided it would be the perfect opportunity to tie it to the belt loop on the back of my pants. So then, of course, we had to pretend that she was yanking me back into the house, and then E had to try it, and so fun was had by all. But really, who thinks of that? So I have something special for you guys, something a little bit different. I had the opportunity earlier this week to make salsa with my mom, and I thought I'd show you how we do it. So, salsa time! The first thing you need to do is heat up some water and blanch your tomatoes. You don't have to use this colander type thing, but my mom has it and it makes it super easy and efficient. So you need to blanch them for, 15 to 30 seconds, and you're looking for a split in the tomatoes just when the skin starts to split. Then you take them out, drain off the excess water, and dump them into a cold water bath. Then you need to peel and seed and core the tomatoes. Now, peeling and seeding is technically optional, but we like to do it. So cut out the core and any other yucky parts. Your tomatoes don't have to be perfect, and you can still make salsa with them. Then you just need to peel the skin off, and if you've waited until there's a nice little crack in some of them, the skin just slides off beautifully. And we like to take it off because we don't like the pieces it leaves in our salsa. So then you cut your tomato in half around the hemisphere, squeeze out the seeds so that your salsa is thicker and not juicy, and put all of those tomatoes in a bowl. Blitz them in a food processor until they're the texture you like, and then add them to the pot. We are making a quadruple batch here, so that's why we have such a giant pot. Next, you'll want to dice your onions finely and add them to the pot. Gloves are a great idea here to prevent stinky hands. If your food processor is noisy like ours, your kids might want to cover their ears. Then we do the peppers. We seed the jalapenos and then cut them up for the food processor. We take the seeds and the ribs out because that's where the heat is. We can always add them back in later if we want more heat. We use a few different types of peppers, anything from Anaheims, poblanos, jalapenos, bell peppers, depending on the flavor profile you want. Dice them all up so that they're nice, small, fine pieces. Add them to the pot. Then add your vinegar. This is what makes the salsa acidic enough to be canned safely, so don't forget it. Then tomato paste. A trick here is to cut both the top and bottom off, remove the bottom, and use the top to push the paste through. Then just carefully remove the lid, scrape off any extra tomato paste that sticks, and voila! Then you'll see we add the salt. You'll notice here that we tend to use our hands to measure. That's because while we do follow recipes, my mom and I cook a lot by how things feel, by eye, how things taste. So we were tasting this salsa throughout the whole thing to make sure that the heat levels and the salt levels were all correct. Then stir everything together. You want to make sure that all the tomato paste clumps are broken down and that all the peppers and onions and everything is evenly distributed for ease of cooking and just to make sure that it looks right and you have the right balance. Then put a lid on it, bring it to the stove, start it on high heat and bring it to a simmer. Then let it simmer for 15 minutes, stirring occasionally to make sure that nothing sticks and burns on the bottom. Yay! Matcha Peach Lemonade time! We interrupt the salsa making so that Dee can tell you about her special skill in her own work.
Every time I blink, I make a rainbow. But I have to make indigo and violet. That's what I'm supposed to do. And because that's a layer of the rainbow because it's in Sid the Science Kid. So when I blink like this, I see some stuff that looks rainbow on the wall, and every day I blink, it seems like it's gonna make a rainbow on the sky the next day when I make indigo and violet, but I can't make indigo and violet because look at that box. It's green, and the green is going into my eye, and that's indigo. Look at the indigo was on the couch.
Whoa! So did you make indigo? Nice. And we're back. So this is what the salsa looks like now that it's simmering. So give it a stir intermittently once again, just to make sure that we're not letting anything burn or stick on the bottom. Now it's time to process the cilantro. You don't want to cook the cilantro because it changes how it tastes and diminishes the flavor. So you can throw the whole bunch in and just process it until you get everything into nice, fine, consistent pieces. Remove your salsa from the heat and add in that freshly chopped cilantro. Then to put it in the jars. This is at least a 2-person job. One person fills with a funnel, the other person wipes the edges clean to make sure there's a good seal, puts the canning lid on and the canning ring. And you do that for every jar. Add the jars to the canner. This one fits 7 in the canning rack. And then take your canning rack and put it in your hot water bath canner. Make sure all the jars are completely submerged in the water in the canner. After your jars have processed in the canner with the lid on for 15 minutes, remove the canning rack from the canner and then one by one carefully place the jars on a towel. The towel will absorb any moisture that's remaining on the jars and helps to provide a softer place for them to rest to prevent any breaking. Then load up your canning rack with your next batch and process them for 15 minutes in boiling water. Now that your jars are out, it's time to wait for that glorious pop to know that they've sealed. Ta-da! You've made salsa. Thanks for coming along on the salsa making journey and for joining me once again in my cup of crazy. Please let me know in the comments below if you plan on making salsa, or if you do, how it turns out. I'd love to hear. See you next week. Bye!